would say more like the older generations. And it's almost kind of like a generational curse that you want to like break. And I know for myself, that's what I've been working on myself is, like I said, simplify and then refresh. Like even in the comedy scene, if I don't have a good set, I bomb, which means it's not good. I actually performed in Spanish the first time like 2 weeks ago in Hollywood, and it's so different. Spanish comedy is so different from English comedy, and I was up there like, you know. And I've been doing comedy for close to 8 years now, so you work a different muscle. And I was so hard on myself afterwards. I performed with my friends, and they were like, Gloria, it's not a big deal. Let's keep it moving. It's kind of like when you perform in English, you bomb and then keep it moving. And I was just so down on myself. And then I had to remind myself, you gotta breathe. Like, let it go, refresh, and stuff like that, you know? And then breathe is my third one. Just, I think we're always like, oh my gosh, I hope I don't mess up, or, and it's like, breathe, you know, type thing. And especially right now that mental health is so big, and not just our community, but like in as a world thing, we have to learn how to breathe, you know, instead of being hard on ourselves and trying to be perfect. It's okay not to be okay, you know, so.
I just want to say thank you for reminding me to breathe, because I realized when you said it that I wasn't like breathing like I normally do. Yeah, so as much as I do speak in public, I still get nervous, you know, speaking in front of people. So thank you for that reminder. For me, I think the 3 words that would sum up my life right now, definitely purposeful. So I think it would be really hard to wake up and do as much as I do every day without knowing why I do it. So right now, I've been really blessed to discover my purpose, and I think I'm at a really interesting age. So I'm going to be 25 at the end of this month, where I'm finding out like what my reason for being here is and what my purpose is in life. So I feel like really blessed to find that at such a young age. But then also, you know, I commute as well from Modesto to Sacramento. I'm in Sacramento by 9 a.m. every day, and I leave most times by like 6 or 7. And then even after that, I'll get here and do work with my youth that we've been working with through Brown Issues. So I mean, like my days are running like 13 to 16 hours on average, right? So it would be really hard to do as much as I do without knowing the purpose. So definitely purposeful. And then I mentioned the second one, but blessed definitely would sum up a lot of what I do right now. I lost my grandma earlier this year, and she was such a strong figure in my life. So I really do feel that that has impacted me in such a way where I've realized how short life is. So my mentality on life is not like, oh, I have to do this now. It's more like, I get to do this. Like I'm blessed to wake up every day and to be able to contribute like my little grain of sand to the bigger picture of what's going on in the world, right? And to help change things in whatever capacity I can. And then the last one would definitely be love. So along with purpose, I think it would be really hard to do what I do if I didn't really love what I did. So if I didn't really love the young people that I'm working with. So if I haven't told you in a while, Steph, I love you guys. But also to love the work that I do and to love the people that we're doing it for. So I would definitely say love.
Wow, so those are powerful words. So the reason I started out with that question, because I like to, and this is really a good life tip, I like to use a power word for the year. And so, and hearing these words, it gives me more words to use. And so the reason I do that, because I like to recollaborate during the month. And whatever my word is, so like for next year, 2020, it's 2020 vision, but as in 2020 vision, I'm going to make it happen. You know, finally focusing and having that straight path. And so when you pick a word for the year and have that as your mantra to do it, it really does help. And when you're having a sucky day, you know, if you go back to that word, it's funny how many times during the day you'll hear it, or if you just, during the month, it'll kind of like, in those bad moments, it'll kind of creep up, and then it'll be like, okay, this is the vision, this is what I'm working on. And so I thought it would be a fun way to kind of start the conversation. So if I had to choose 3 words, definitely all the words that all of you chose. But for myself, I think right now, also, I think I have to agree with you, Glory. Breathe is a big one because I've had a couple of transitions during the year that have been really hard on me, and so I had to remind myself to breathe. And so about 2 weeks, I found myself in the woods, and just it was so hard walking through the woods and being in the forest and hearing rivers and water. And so it was a good opportunity to ground me and realize how much chaos there is in my brain, throughout the day, and how really none of it matters, and what matters is living in the moment, and living and being present with the people around you. So I guess my second one would be moment, to kind of refocus on just being present, because there's so many distractions, and which segues to my other word would be to acknowledge distractions and identify them, because I feel that every time you say yes to something, it's distracting you from what really is important, or maybe really what you're after. So I kind of keep that at the forefront of kind of keeping that word throughout the year. And sometimes they'll shift. They'll be like June, and I will think, is this word really serving me? And then I'll go back to it, or keep it, or change it to something else. So with that said, so I'm just kind of wondering, what does a typical day look like for you, Natalie?
Okay, so it really does depend on the day, but I'll pick Wednesdays because those are some of my favorite days. So in the morning on Mondays and Wednesdays, I'm a student, so from 9 a.m. to 4:15 p.m. I'm in classes. I do have a roughly 3-hour gap where I'll take meetings. So I'm organizing here in Modesto, but I'm also part of the Brown Issue Sac State chapter, which means that we do on-campus events, we collaborate with other organizations. Right now we're focusing a lot of our efforts around the census coming up, so here's my little census plug. So traditionally, a lot of our communities have not been counted in the census, and the reason why it's so important is because the census decides where the government allocates funds to fix streets, where shopping malls go, where grocery stores go. So there's been a lot of fear around the census, especially this year. There was a big debate over whether or not a question on citizenship should be on the census, and it was decided that there won't be. So pretty much ever since the Japanese internment, they've decided that they're not going to use the census to scare communities. So pretty much what we're trying to focus our efforts on at Sac State right now is to create a campus-wide effort to make sure that our young people know about the census and that they're taking it home to their families. So usually on Wednesdays, I'll take meetings regarding that, or sometimes just do personal check-ins with different team members that I'm working with. I really try to be, I guess, intentional about my time. So use the time that I do have while I'm in Sacramento to work on things that, again, can help the community in Sacramento. And then after 4:15, I get back on the 99, and I come back to Modesto to be here by 6:30, where we'll do from 6:30 to 8, or 8:30 most days, we run a little bit late, with our youth meetings. So in those youth meetings, we'll use that as a space, sometimes just to decompress. We usually have an agenda of things that we like to talk about, events that we have coming up. So again, I'll plug more of our events here.
Of course.
We actually have an altar that we're working on for Dia de los Muertos in downtown Modesto, so that's going to be this following Saturday. And then there's also going to be another event for Dia de los Muertos at Casa Cultural in the airport district on November 2nd, where we will be promoting our altar as well. And these are all ideas that the young people have collaborated on, have brought to the table of things that they want to do, different issues that they see in their community, and we're going to be honoring that through this altar. So different events that we'll have going on, and then usually my day finishes around 8:30, 9 o'clock, and then I go home and I try to do homework. Usually I do my homework on the weekends, but it's pretty much running from maybe 4:30, 5 in the morning to 9 at night, and that's most days, I would say.
Okay. Lori, how does your day look like?
I guess it just depends. So like, for example, I'll give you an example of my day on a comedy day.
Okay.
So like the show that we run here, that's pretty hectic day just because we do all the ticket sales, so I don't have an assistant. I guess my boyfriend He helps me with everything.
Volunteer.
Yeah, no, he's totally, and I mean, yeah, exactly. He
Right.
literally volunteers. Like, what do you need? I'm like, a taco. No, just kidding. And so he goes and gets me food or whatever. And so we do a lot of the ticket sales. And, we'll deliver tickets. People Venmo us. Now we have like an Eventbrite page that pops up and things like that. So we're kind of running around, but if I had a show like in LA, which is something that I don't run the show, I just perform the day of, I will sleep in just because I want to be well rested. But my sleep in is not, not like 11 or 12. Like, again, I come from Mexican parents, so it was like 7:30, 8 o'clock,
Yeah.
like, no vas a limpiar? And they're like, okay, get up. And so, I'll sleep into that, and then I kind of just go over my material. I'll look at new jokes. If I have a new set, if I have new jokes, I'll kind of go over it. I'll say them in my head sometimes. If I'm around people, if I'm talking to you, like sometimes things pop up in my head. Or if not, I have my list. And then, like you said, we're millennials. I guess we're millennials? I don't know. I don't even know. I'm almost 40, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But I always use my phone. And so typical comics, what they do is they'll have a notebook. And I have a notebook, but I don't even really write anything in there. I'll write ideas, but I don't write my jokes in there. My jokes are all on my phone. I'll do that. The people that I hang out with, they're doing comedy full time too. So I have a podcast, and so I'll typically do an episode with them.
What's the name?
Chepa's Kid. So my
Yes.
So my mom's name was, my mom also passed away, and so her name was Josefina, and then we used to call her Chepa. And so I was always known as, it's Chepa's Kid, And so I thought, to honor my mom, I started, that's the Chepa's Kid podcast. And so that's what the show that I have here in Urbanos is Chepa's Kid Presents. So then I'll have an episode with my comedy friends. I just started, like I said, this year I went full time. And thank God right now a lot of stuff is happening for me. So I'm starting to network with people that are like opening for Fluffy, or that have opened for Fluffy. Felipe Esparza, I'm like working with him now type thing. So that's why I'm commuting back and forth type thing, because when I was younger, I hated Modesto. I was born and raised here, so there's nothing to do here. So you wanted to go to San Francisco, you wanted to go to Sacramento, and then I moved to LA and I came back 2 years ago, and Modesto looks different to me now. Like it's like I see it with a different set of eyes. I'm just kind of like, why did I hate it? I want to come back to make it better, not like, I'm getting out of here. So now I'm back, and so I have a hard time leaving, not so much because I'm like, I don't want to leave home, because